what is in this book that leads you to believe it would sell? I said, you will have to read it to find out. He took it home with him and read it. He had his whole staff read it paragraph by paragraph, and then they took a vote on it, and they voted unanimously that it was the best manuscript that ever came from that publishing house. They printed it, put it to work, and it's been selling as the best seller in the world up to this time. It has grossed over $18 million, and probably will gross many more millions of dollars while I'm still alive. It's been translated into many languages. It was endorsed by Mahatma Gandhi and distributed widely throughout India. It went from there to Brazil, where it was translated into the Portuguese language and is widely distributed throughout Latin America. And I think if you'll stop and consider the wages that I ask, the wages that I received of $1 a year, and the service that I gave for that, you'll recognize what can be accomplished by going the extra mile. Now, let me give you some of the benefits that comes from going the extra mile. Well, it places the law of increasing returns squarely back upon. It brings one to the favorable attention of those who can and do provide opportunities for self-promotion. It tends to permit one to become indispensable in many different human relationships, and therefore enables one to command more than average compensation. It leads to a mental growth and physical perfection in various forms of service, thereby developing greater ability and skill in one's chosen vocation. It protects one against the loss of employment and places one in a position to choose his own job and working conditions. It enables one to profit by the law of contrast because the majority of people do not practice the habit of going the extra mile. As a matter of fact, the majority of people don't even go the first mile. And it leads to the development of a positive, pleasing personal attitude, which is among the more important traits of a pleasing personality. And it tends to develop a keen, alert imagination, and it is a habit which keeps one continuously seeking new and more efficient ways of rendering service. It definitely serves to develop self-reliance. It serves also to build the confidence of others in one's integrity, and it is the only logical reason to justify one in asking for a promotion or for more wages, because if a man is not doing any more than he's paid for, then obviously he has no right to ask for more pay.
Same is true in marketing and personal services. You should know all of your weaknesses in order that you may either bridge them or eliminate them entirely. You should know your strength in order that you may call attention to it when selling your services. You can know yourself only through accurate analysis. Take inventory of yourself. Annual self-analysis is an essential in the effective marketing of personal services, as is annual inventory and merchandising. Moreover, the yearly analysis should disclose a decrease in faults and an increase in virtues. One goes ahead, stands still, or goes backward in life. One's object should be, of course, to go ahead. Annual self-analysis will disclose whether advancement has been made, and if so, how much. It will also disclose any backward steps one may have made. The effective marketing of personal services requires one to move forward even if the progress is slow. Decision. The mastery of procrastination. The seventh step toward riches. Analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure disclosed the fact that lack of decision was near the head of the list of the 31 major causes of failure. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is a common enemy which practically every man must conquer. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly if and when they were changed. People who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. Tips on making your own decisions. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. Close friends and relatives, while not meaning to do so, often handicap one through opinions, and sometimes through ridicule, which is meant to be humorous. Thousands of men and women carry inferiority complexes with them all through life, because some well-meaning but ignorant person destroyed their confidence through opinions or ridicule. You have a brain and a mind of your own. Use it and reach your own decisions. If you need facts or information from other people to enable you to reach decisions, as you probably will in many instances, acquire these facts or secure the information you need quietly without disclosing your purpose. 56 who risked the gallows. The greatest decision of all time, as far as any American citizen is concerned, was reached in Philadelphia, July 4th, 1776, when 56 men signed their names to a document which they well knew would bring freedom to all Americans or leave every one of the 56 hanging from a gallows. You have heard of this famous document, but you may not have drawn from it the great lesson in personal achievement it so plainly taught. We all remember the date of this momentous decision, but few of us realize what courage that decision required. We remember our history as it was taught. We remember dates and the names of the men who fought. We remember Valley Forge and Yorktown. We remember George Washington and Lord Cornwallis. But we know little of the real forces back of these names, dates, and places. We know still less of that intangible power which ensured us freedom long before Washington's armies reached Yorktown. It is nothing short of tragedy that the writers of history have missed entirely even the slightest reference to the irresistible power which gave birth and freedom to the nation destined to set up new standards of independence for all the peoples of the earth. I say it is a tragedy because it is the self-same power which must be used by every individual who surmounts the difficulties of life and forces life to pay the price asked. Analyze the event which led to the Declaration of Independence, and be convinced that this nation, which now holds a position of commanding respect and power among all nations of the world, was born of a decision created by a mastermind consisting of 56 men. Note well the fact that it was their decision which ensured the success of Washington's armies, because the spirit of that decision was in the heart of every soldier who fought with him, and served as a spiritual power which recognizes no such thing as failure. Note also, with great personal benefit, that the power which gave this nation its freedom is the self-same power that must be used by every individual who becomes self-determined. This power is made up of the principles described in this book. It will not be difficult to detect in the story of the Declaration of Independence at least 6 of these principles: desire, decision, faith, persistence, the mastermind, and organized plan. Know what you want, and you'll generally get it. Throughout this philosophy will be found the suggestion that thought backed by strong desire has a tendency to transmute itself into its physical equivalent. In your search for the secret of the method, do not look for a miracle, because you will not find it. You will find only the eternal laws of nature. These laws are available to every person who has the faith and the courage to use them. They may be used to bring freedom to a nation or to accumulate riches. Definiteness of decision always requires courage, sometimes very great courage. The 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence staked their lives on the decision to affix their signatures to that document. The person who reaches a definite decision for a particular job and make life pay the price he asks does not stake his life on that decision, he stakes his economic freedom. Financial independence, riches, desirable business, and professional positions are not within reach of the person who neglects or refuses to expect, plan, and demand these things. The person who desires riches in the same spirit that Samuel Adams desired freedom for the colonies is sure to accumulate wealth. Persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce things. The eighth step toward riches. Persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of will. Willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desires bring weak results, just as a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat. If you find yourself lacking in persistence, this weakness may be remedied by building a stronger fire under your desires. And if you find that you are indifferent, you may be sure that you have not yet acquired the money consciousness which you must possess before you can be sure of accumulating fortune. Those who can take are bountifully rewarded for their persistence. They receive as their compensation whatever goal they are pursuing. That is not all. They receive something infinitely more important than material compensation. The knowledge that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. You can train yourself to be persistent. Persistence is a state of mind, therefore it can be cultivated. Like all states of mind, persistence is based upon definite causes. Among them, these. A. Definiteness of purpose. Knowing what one wants is the first and perhaps the most important step toward the development of persistence. A strong motive forces one to surmount many difficulties. B. Desire. It is comparatively easy to acquire and to maintain persistence in pursuing the object of intense desire. C. Self-reliance. Belief in one's ability to carry out a plan encourages one to follow the plan through with persistence. Self-reliance can be developed through the principle described in the chapter on autosuggestion. D. Definiteness of plans. Organized plans, even though they may be weak and entirely impractical, encourage persistence. E. Accurate knowledge. Knowing that one's plans are sound, based upon experience or observation, encourages persistence. Guessing instead of knowing destroys persistence. F. Cooperation. Sympathy, understanding, and harmonious cooperation with others tend to develop persistence. G. Willpower. A habit of concentrating one's thoughts upon the building of plans for the attainment of a definite purpose leads to persistence. H. Habit. Persistence is the direct result of habit. The mind absorbs and becomes a part of the daily experiences upon which it feeds. Fear, the worst of all enemies, can be effectively cured by forced repetition of acts of courage. Everyone who has seen active service in war knows this. Take your own persistence inventory. Before leaving the subject of persistence, take inventory of yourself and determine in what particular, if any, you are lacking in this essential quality. Measure yourself courageously, point by point. See how many of the 8 factors of persistence you lack. The analysis may lead to discoveries that will give you a new grip on yourself. If you fear criticism, let us examine some of the symptoms of the fear of criticism. The majority of people permit relatives, friends, and the public at large to so influence them that they cannot live their own lives because they fear criticism. Huge numbers of people make mistakes in marriage, stand by the bargain, and go through life miserable and unhappy because they fear criticism, which may follow if they correct the mistake. Anyone who has submitted to this form of fear knows the irreparable damage it does by destroying one's ambition and the desire to achieve. Millions of people neglect to acquire belated educations after having left school because they fear criticism. Countless numbers of men and women, both young and old, permit relatives to wreck their lives in the name of duty because they fear criticism. Duty does not require any person to submit to the destruction of his personal ambitions and the right to live his own life in his own way. People refuse to take chances in business because they fear the criticism which may follow if they fail. Fear of criticism in such cases is stronger than the desire for success. How to develop persistence? There are 4 simple steps which lead to the habit of persistence. They call for no great amount of intelligence, no particular amount of education, and but little time or effort. The necessary steps are 1. A definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment. 2. A definite plan expressed in continuous action. 3. A mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. 4. A friendly alliance with 1 or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. These 4 steps are essential for success in all walks of life. The entire purpose of the 13 principles of this philosophy is to enable one to take these 4 steps as a matter of habit. These are the steps by which one may control one's economic destiny. They are the steps that lead to freedom and independence of thought. They are the steps that lead to riches in small or great quantities. They lead the way to power, fame, and worldly recognition. They are the 4 steps which guarantee favorable breaks. They are the steps that convert dreams into physical realities. They lead also to the mastery of fear, discouragement, and indifference. There is a magnificent reward for all who learn to take these 4 steps. It is the privilege of writing one's own ticket and of making life yield whatever price is asked. How to master difficulties. What mystical power gives to men of persistence the capacity to master difficulties? Does the quality of persistence set up in one's mind some form of spiritual, mental, or chemical activity which gives one access to supernatural forces? Does infinite intelligence throw itself on the side of the person who still fights on after the battle has been lost, with the whole world on the opposing side?
You may be interested in knowing that I had the help of some 500 of the most successful men in America to help me create the science of personal achievement. Among them were such men as Thomas A. Edison, Henry Ford, John Wanamaker. Let me tell you about one man, perhaps my most outstanding student, who has made a tremendous success of his life by applying definiteness of purpose. His name is W. Clement Stone, president of the Combined Insurance Company of America. Right after Think and Grow Rich was published in 1937, someone gave Mr. Stone a copy of this book, and he was so impressed by it that he laid out a 20-year plan for himself. At that time, he was selling insurance, I suppose making $200 or $300, maybe $400 a week at the most. Now, his plan called for him to own a company of his own within 20 years and for him to be president of it, and his personal fortune to be not less than $10 million. Well, long before the 20 years were up, he was the president and majority owner of 4 large insurance companies. His personal fortune was over $35 million, and today it is estimated that his fortune is over $100 million. And he attributes his success entirely to the application of the famous Andrew Carnegie philosophy, and particularly to the application of definiteness of purpose. His 2,000 salesmen are known to be the most successful men in the insurance field, and every one of those 2,000 men has been taught to use the science of personal achievement and to emphasize the principle of definiteness of purpose.
Power of the mastermind, the driving force, the 9th step toward riches. Power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. This chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term is here used, refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of two or more people who work toward a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. Let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the sources of knowledge. A. Infinite intelligence. This source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of creative imagination. B. Accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man, or that portion of it which has been organized and recorded, may be found in any well-equipped public library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools and colleges, where it has been classified and organized. C. Experiment and research. In the field of science, and in practically every other walk of life, men are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts and data. This is the source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here, too, the creative imagination must often be used. Knowledge may be required from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. In a preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature and the other psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men who are willing to lend him wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more difficult to comprehend. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force which may be likened to a third mind. How to multiply your brain power. Man's brain may be compared to an electric battery. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It is also a well-known fact that an individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number and capacity of the cells it contains. The brain functions in a similar fashion. This accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others, and leads to this significant statement. A group of brains, coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony, will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by men who surround themselves with other men of brains. There follows now another statement which will lead still nearer to an understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. It is an equally well-known fact that within the inconceivably short period of 10 years, Mr. Ford mastered these three handicaps, and that within 25 years, he made himself one of the richest men in America. Connect with this fact the additional knowledge that Mr. Ford's most rapid strides became noticeable from the time he became a personal friend of Thomas A. Edison, and you will begin to understand what the influence of one mind upon another can accomplish. Go a step farther and consider the fact that Mr. Ford's most outstanding achievements began from the time that he formed the acquaintance of Harvey Firestone, John Burroughs, and Luther Burbank, each a man of great brain capacity. And you will have further evidence that power may be produced through friendly alliance of minds.
Let me tell you about my experience in helping Franklin D. Roosevelt create a mastermind which broke the back of the Depression in 1933. Shortly after the president entered the White House, he sent for me to come and go to work for him. We created one of the most outstanding masterminds that this nation has ever known, perhaps. It consisted of both houses of Congress working in harmony with the president, something that never had been done before and never has been done since, probably to the extent that we accomplished it there in 1933. The majority of the newspaper publishers of America, regardless of their political leanings, practically every one of them got behind the president as a result of this mastermind operation which we set up at the White House. And the radio station operators, without any reference whatsoever to their political leanings, they got behind the president and they used the material which I prepared to send out over the air. In other words, material that we used to sell the good features of the United States instead of dwelling upon the bad ones. Then the churches of all denominations, I have never seen such a job as they did. The priests, clergymen of all denominations went into their pulpits and they did a wonderful job of selling the United States of America to the people. Then the leaders of both the major political parties, they crossed party lines. There were no Democrats and no Republicans, no anything else in Congress. They were nothing but Americans helping the President of the United States to bring this country out of chaos. And then most of all, there was a majority of the American people of all political and religious leanings. I have never seen the people of the United States get behind the president so squarely as they did behind FDR in those perilous days of 1933. Now here was a mastermind alliance that served a great purpose at a time of need. And I hope to see the time come when I may contribute my services in building a mastermind alliance that will permanently serve the president of the United States as it did in 1933.
The mystery of sex transmutation, the 10th step toward riches. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. The 10 stimuli of the mind. The human mind responds to stimuli through which it may be keyed up to high rates of vibration, known as enthusiasm, creative imagination, intense desire, and so on. The stimuli to which the mind responds most freely are 1. The desire for sex expression. 2. Love. 3. A burning desire for fame, power, or financial gain, money. 4. Music. 5. Friendship between either those of the same sex or those of the opposite sex. 6. A mastermind alliance based upon the harmony of 2 or more people who ally themselves for spiritual or temporal advancement. 7. Mutual suffering, such as that experienced by people who are persecuted. 8. Autosuggestion. 9. Fear. 10. Narcotics and alcohol. The desire for sex expression comes at the head of the list of stimuli, which most effectively step up the mind and start the wheels of physical action. 8 of these stimuli are natural and constructive. 2 are destructive. When brain action has been stimulated through 1 or more of the 10 mind stimulants, it has the effect of lifting the individual far above the horizon of ordinary thought and permits him to envision distance, scope, and quality of thoughts not available on the lower plane, such as that occupied while one is engaged in the solution of the problems of business and professional routine. The world is ruled and the destiny of civilization is established by the human emotions. People are influenced in their actions not by reason so much as by feelings. The creative faculty of the mind is set into action entirely by emotions and not by cold reason. The most powerful of all human emotions is that of sex. There are other mind stimulants, some of which have been listed, but no one of them, nor all of them combined, can equal the driving power of sex. A mind stimulant is any influence which will either temporarily or permanently increase the intensity of thought. The 10 major stimulants described are those most commonly resorted to. Through these sources, one may commune with infinite intelligence or enter at will the storehouse of the subconscious mind, either one's own or that of another person, a procedure which is all there is of genius. The emotion of sex is an irresistible force against which there can be no such opposition as an immovable body. When driven by this emotion, men become gifted with a superpower for action. Understand this truth, and you will catch the significance of the statement that sex transmutation contains the secret of creative ability. The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower to be sure. The emotion of revenge, the emotion of greed, the emotion of superstition, the emotion of anger. Positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind at the same time. One or the other must dominate. It is your responsibility to make sure that positive emotions constitute the dominating influence of your mind. Here, the law of habit come to your aid. Form the habit of applying and using the positive emotions. Eventually, they will dominate your mind so completely that the negatives cannot enter it. Only by following these instructions literally and continuously can you gain control over your subconscious mind. The presence of a single negative in your conscious mind destroy all chances of constructive aid from your subconscious mind. The brain, a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. The 12th step toward riches. More than 40 years ago, the author working in conjunction with the late Dr. Alexander Graham Bell and Dr. Elmer Gates observed that every human brain is both a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. The subconscious mind is the sending station of the brain, through which vibrations of thought are broadcast. The creative imagination is the receiving center, in which the energies of thought are picked up. One of the important factors of the subconscious mind is the faculty of the creative imagination, which constitute the sending and receiving sense of your mental broadcasting machinery. Consider now the principle of autosuggestion, which is the medium by which you may put into operation your broadcasting station. Through the instructions described in the chapter on autosuggestion, you were definitely informed of the method by which desire may be transmuted into very equipment. Operation of your mental broadcasting station is a comparatively simple procedure. You have but 3 principles to bear in mind and to follow when you wish to use your broadcasting station: the subconscious mind, creative imagination, and autosuggestion. The stimuli through which you put these 3 principles into action have been described, and the procedure begins with desire. The greatest forces are intention. The ages which have passed, man has depended much on his physical sense, and has limited his knowledge to physical things, which he could see, touch, weigh, and measure. We are now entering the most marvelous of all ages, an age which will teach us something of the intangible forces of the world about us. Perhaps we shall learn as we pass through this stage that the other self is more powerful than the physical self we see when we look into a mirror. Sometimes men speak lightly of the intangible, the things which they cannot perceive through any of their 5 senses. When we hear them, it should remind us that all of us are controlled by forces which are unseen and intangible. The whole of mankind has not the power to intangible force wrapped up in the rolling waves of the ocean. Man has not the capacity to understand the intangible force of gravity, which keeps this earth suspended in space and keeps man from falling from it, much less the power to control that. Man is entirely subservient to the intangible force which comes with a thunderstorm, and he is just as helpless in the presence of the intangible force of electricity. Nor is this by any means the end of man's ignorance in connection with things unseen and intangible. He does not understand the intangible force and intelligence wrapped up in the soil of the earth, the force which provides him with every morsel of food he eats, every article of clothing he wears, every dollar he carries in his pockets.
The power of thought is the only thing over which you have complete, unchallenged, and unchallengeable control. Controlled by power of will. In giving human beings control over but one thing, the Creator must have chosen the most important of all things. This is a stupendous fact that merits your most profound consideration. If you give it this sort of consideration, you will discover for yourself the rich promises available to those who become masters of their own mind power through self-discipline.
The sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom, the 13th step toward riches. The 13th principle is known as the sixth sense, through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. This principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles. The sixth sense is that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination. It has also been referred to as the receiving setting, through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. The flashes are sometimes called punches or inspiration. The sixth sense defies description. It cannot be described to a person who has not mastered the other principles of this philosophy, because such a person has no knowledge and no experience with which the sixth sense may be compared. Miracles of the sixth sense. The author is not a believer in, nor the advocate of miracles, for the reason that he has enough knowledge of nature to understand that nature never deviates from her established laws. Some of her laws are so incomprehensible that they produce what appear to be a miracle. The sixth sense comes as near to being a miracle as anything I have ever experienced. This much the author does know, that there is a power or a first cause or an intelligence which permeates every atom of matter and embraces every unit of energy perceptible to man. That this infinite intelligence converts acorns into oak trees, causes water to flow downhill in response to the law of gravity, follows night with day and winter with summer, each maintaining its proper place and relationship to the other. This intelligence may, through the principles of this philosophy, be induced to aid in transmuting desires into concrete or material form. The author has this knowledge because he has experimented with it and has experienced it. Step by step through the preceding chapters, you have been led to this, the last principle. If you have mastered each of the preceding principles, you are now prepared to accept, without being skeptical, the stupendous claims made here. If you have not mastered the other principles, you must do so before you may determine definitely whether or not the claims made in this chapter are fact or fiction. Long before I had ever written a line for publication or endeavored to deliver a speech in public, I followed the habit of reshaping my own character by trying to imitate the 9 men whose lives and works have been most impressive to me. These 9 men were Emerson, Paine, Edison, Darwin, Lincoln, Burbank, Napoleon, Ford, and Carnegie. Every night, over a long period of years, I held an imaginary council meeting with this group, whom I called my invisible council. I had a very definite purpose in indulging my imagination through these nightly meetings. My purpose was to rebuild my own character so it would represent a composite of the characters of my imaginary council. Realizing, as I did early in life, that I had to overcome the handicap of birth in an environment of ignorance and superstition, I deliberately assign myself the task of voluntary rebirth through the method I have described above. Building character through autosuggestion. I knew, of course, that all men have become what they are because of their dominating thoughts and desires. I knew that every deeply seated desire has the effect of causing one to seek outward expression through which that desire may be transmuted into reality. I knew that self-suggestion is a powerful factor in building character, and it is, in fact, the sole principle through which character is built. With this knowledge, the principles of mind operation, I was fairly well armed with the equipment needed in building my character. For these imaginary council meetings, I called on my cabinet members for the knowledge I wished each to contribute. A method of addressing the members of the imaginary cabinet would vary according to the traits of character in which I was, for the moment, most interested in acquiring. I studied the records of their lives with painstaking care. After some months of this nightly procedure, I was astounded by the discovery that these imaginary figures became apparently real. Each of these 9 men developed individual characteristics that surprised me. For example, Leon developed the habit of always being late, then walking around in solemn array. He always wore an expression of seriousness upon his face. Rarely did I see him smile. That was not true of the others. Burbank and Payne often indulged in witty repartee, which seemed at times to shock the other members of the cabinet. These meetings became so realistic that I became fearful of their consequences and discontinued them for several months. The experiences were so uncanny, I was afraid if I continued them, I would lose sight of the fact that the meetings were purely experiences of my imagination. This is the first time that I have had the courage to mention this. Heretofore, I have remained silent because I knew from my own attitude in connection with such matters that I would be misunderstood if I described my unusual situation. I have been emboldened now to read my experience to the printed page because I am now less concerned about what they say than I was in the years that had passed. Lest I be misunderstood, I wish here to state most emphatically that I still regard my cabinet meetings as being purely imaginary. But I feel entitled to suggest that while the members of my cabinet may be purely fictional, and the meetings existed only in my own imagination, they have led me to the glorious paths of adventure, rekindled an appreciation of true greatness, encouraged renewed endeavor, and emboldened the expression of honest hope. Having the sort of inspiration, somewhere in the cell structure of the brain is located an organ which receives vibrations of thought ordinarily called purpose. So far, science has not discovered where this organ of the sixth sense is located, but this is not important. The fact remains that human beings do receive accurate knowledge from sources other than the physical senses. Such knowledge generally is received when the mind is under the influence of extraordinary stimulation. Any emergency which arouses the emotions that causes the heart to beat more rapidly than normal may, and generally does, bring the sixth sense into action. Anyone who has experienced a near accident while driving knows that on such occasions the sixth sense often comes to one's rescue and aids by split seconds in avoiding the accident. My original purpose in conducting council meetings with imaginary beings was solely that in impressing my own subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion with certain characteristics which I desired to acquire. In more recent years, my experimentation has taken on an entirely different trend. I now go to my imaginary counselors with every difficult problem which confronts me and my clients. The results are often astonishing, although I do not depend entirely on this form of counsel. The starting point of all achievement is desire. The finishing point is that brand of knowledge which leads to understanding. Understanding of self, understanding of others, understanding of the laws of nature, recognition and understanding of happiness. This sort of understanding comes in its fullness only through familiarity with and use of the principle of the sixth sense. Before you can put any portion of this philosophy into successful use, your mind must be prepared to receive it. The preparation is not difficult. It begins with study, analysis, and understanding of three enemies which you shall have to clear out: indecision, doubt, and fear. The sixth sense will never function while these three negatives, or any one of them, remain in your mind. The members of this unholy trio are closely related. Where one is found, the other two are close at hand. The six basic fears. There are six basic fears, with some combination of which every human suffers at one time or another. Most people are fortunate if they do not suffer from the entire six. Named in the order of their most common appearance, they are the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, at the bottom of most of one's work. The fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, the fear of death. All other fears are of minor importance. They can be grouped under these six headings. Fears are nothing more than states of mind. One state of mind is subject to control and direction. Man can create nothing which he does not first conceive in the form of an impulse of thought. Following this statement comes another of still greater importance, namely, man's thought impulses begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent, whether those thoughts are voluntary or involuntary. Thought impulses, which are picked up by mere chance, thoughts which have been released by other ones, they determine one's financial, business, professional, or social destiny, just as surely as do the thought impulses which one creates by intent and design. We are here laying the foundation for the presentation of a fact of great importance to the person who does not understand why some people appear to be lucky, while others of equal or greater ability, training, experience, and brain capacity seem destined to ride with misfortune. This fact may be explained by the statement that every human being has the ability to completely control his own mind. And with this control, obviously, every person may open his mind to the tramped thought impulses which are being released by other brains, or close the doors tightly and admit only thought impulses of his own choice. Nature has endowed man with absolute control over one thing, and that is thought. This fact, coupled with the additional fact that everything which man creates begins in the form of thought, leads one very near to a principle by which fear may be mastered. If it is true that all thought has a tendency to clothe itself in its physical equivalent, then this is true beyond any reasonable room for doubt. It is equally that thought impulses of fear and poverty cannot be translated into terms of courage and financial gain. The six basic fears become translated into a state of worry through indecision. Relieve yourself forever of the fear of death by reaching the decision to accept death as an inescapable event. Quit the fear of poverty by reaching the decision to get along with whatever wealth you can accumulate without worry. Put your foot upon the neck of fear of criticism by reaching the decision not to worry about what other people think, do, or say. Eliminate the fear of old age by reaching a decision to accept it, not as a handicap, but as a great blessing which carries with it wisdom, self-control, and understanding not known to you. Acquit yourself of the fear of ill health by the decision to forget symptoms. Master the fear of loss of love by reaching the decision to get along without love. That is, kill the habit of worry in all ways by reaching the general blanket decision that nothing which life has to offer is worth the price of worry. With this decision will come poise, peace of mind, and compass of thought, which will bring happiness. A man whose mind is filled with fear not only destroys his own chances of intelligent action, but he transmits these destructive vibrations to the minds of all who come into contact with him, and also destroys their chances. The devil's workshop. In addition to the six basic fears, there is another evil by which people suffer. It constitutes a rich soil in which the seeds of fear grow abundantly. It is so subtle, and its presence often is not detected. This affliction cannot properly be classed as a fear. It is more deeply seated and more often fatal than all of the six fears. For want of a better name, let us call this evil susceptibility to negative influences. Men who accumulate great riches always protect themselves against this evil philosophy for the purpose of accumulating riches, you should examine yourself very carefully to determine whether you are susceptible to negative influence. If you neglect this self-analysis, you forfeit your right to attain the object of your desires. How to protect yourself against negative influences? To protect yourself against negative influences, whether of your own making or the result of the activities of negative people around you, recognize that you have a willpower and put it into constant use till it builds a wall of immunity against negative influences in your own life. Recognize the fact that you and every other human being are by nature lazy, indifferent, and susceptible to all suggestions which harmonize with your weaknesses. Recognize that you are by nature susceptible to all six-based fears and set up habits for the purpose of counteracting all. Recognize that negative influences often work on you through your subconscious mind. Therefore, they are difficult to detect, and keep your mind closed against all people who depress or discourage you in any way. Clean out your medicine chest, throw away all pill bottles, and stop pandering to colds, aches, pains, and imaginary illness. Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act for yourself. Do not expect troubles, as they have a tendency not to disappoint you. Without doubt, the most common weakness of all human beings is the habit of leaving their minds open to the negative influence of other people. This weakness is all the more damaging because most people do not recognize that they are cursed by it, and many who acknowledge it neglect or refuse to correct the evil until it becomes an uncontrollable part of their daily habits. In parting, I would remind you that life is a checkerboard, and the player opposite you is time. If you hesitate before moving or neglect to move promptly, your men will be wiped off the board by time. You are playing against a partner who will not tolerate indecision. Previously, you may have had a logical excuse for not having forced life to come through with whatever you asked, but that alibi is now obsolete because you are in possession of the master key that unlocks the door to life's bountiful riches. The master key is intangible, but it is powerful. It is the privilege of creating in your own mind a burning desire for a definite form of riches. There is no penalty for the use of the key, but there is a price you must pay if you do not use it. The price is failure. There is a reward of stupendous proportions if you put the key to use. It is the satisfaction that comes to all who conquer self and force life to pay whatever is asked.
It has been said that I have made more successful men than any man living today. I don't know whether that's true or not, because there's no way of getting accurate statistics. But ladies and gentlemen, when I take inventory of the people that I do know who started at scratch and have become millionaires, some of them not quite that much money, but have become profoundly successful, I recognize that I have created a philosophy here through the good work of Mr. Carnegie that's been the benefactors of the world, not only to those who are living now, but to those who are not yet born. When Mr. Carnegie sold me on the organizing this philosophy, he said, I'm going to give away my money before I die, as fast as I can find ways and means of giving it away without doing damage. And as you of course know, he did just that. He gave it away, educational purposes, libraries, foundations for the maintenance of peace, and in every way that he could conceive. But he said, by far the greatest part of my riches I am entrusting to you to take to the people of the world in the form of the know-how through which I gain my money. And he said, if you carry through the trust and protect your job, as I sincerely believe you will, you will live to see the time when you're far and away richer than I am, and when you will have made many more successful men than I have ever made. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carnegie, that's it. Too much of me so long. I thought, well, Mr. Carnegie has never flattered me before. He never said anything that didn't turn out to be right, but that's just one of those things that never could happen. I have already made thousands of times more successful men than Mr. Carnegie ever had. thousands of times. I'm still in the process of making it. You know, ladies and gentlemen, during those 20 years of research I put into the building of this club, I ran into some very profound facts, too. And one of them consists in this fact. When you get great crises from over the world, there always comes out some unknown formula for dissolving that crisis. I give you Abraham Lincoln, for instance, time of need in this country. George Washington, 1863. By Franklin D. Roosevelt, time when the people were stampeded with fear and standing in great lines to draw them up to the back. And I sometimes wonder if this hand of destiny, which has such a long arm behind it, doesn't reach over in places like the one where I was born and lived out people out of humble and rural stations and give them great jobs to do in life as an inspiration and a magic message to other people to show what can be done when one recognizes the God-given power of thought and puts it to proper use. Because if you really tune in on the main line of my sorts of faith and my sorts of enthusiasm, you're inoculated with this concept. No matter what it is that you're doing in life, what it is you want to do, you will find a way to always do it. I thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Bill Huntley, President of Bobby Sons. I'm very pleased to introduce you to this special edition of Holy Hills Classic, Think and Grow Rich, co-produced by the Audio Sons tapes and Cassette Productions. This unique presentation of Think and Grow Rich combines excerpts from the book read by Joe Slider with personal anecdotes told by the author himself, Napoleon Hill. Just before we begin, I'd like to give you the following information from the publisher's preface. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, published by Fawcett Press, New York, copyright 1937 by Napoleon Hill. Revised edition, copyright 1960 by Combined Registry Company. Copyright under International and American Copyright Convention. All rights reserved and transferred January 1963 to Napoleon Hill Foundation, Charleston, South Carolina. And now, here's Joe Slattery with Napoleon Hill and our special presentation of Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich is one of the most influential books of all time in pointing the way to personal achievement, to financial independence, and to riches of the spirit beyond measurement in money. There has never been another book like it, nor ever can be. It was inspired by Andrew Carnegie, who disclosed his formula of personal achievement to the author, Napoleon Hill, many years ago. Carnegie not only made himself a multimillionaire, but he made millionaires of more than a score of men to whom he taught his secret. Another 500 wealthy men revealed the source of their riches to Napoleon Hill, who has spent a lifetime of research bringing their message to people in all walks of life who are willing to give their thoughts, ideas, and organized plans in return for riches. The riches within your grasp cannot always be measured in money. There are great riches in lasting friendships, harmonious family relationships, sympathy and understanding between business associates, and inner harmony which brings peace of mind measurable only in spiritual values. The philosophy of Think and Grow Rich will prepare you to attract and enjoy these higher estates, which always have been and always will be denied to all except those who are ready for them.
Everyone desires to be rich, but not everyone knows what constitutes enduring riches. And most people believe riches consist only in material things that money can buy. Now here is a list of the 12 things which constitute real riches. Number one, a positive mental attitude. Observe that it gets the list. And second, sound physical health. And third, harmony in human relations. And fourth, freedom from fear. And fifth, the hope of future achievement. And sixth, the capacity for applied faith. And seven, willingness to share one's blessings with others. 8, to be engaged in the labor of love. 9, an open mind on all subjects toward all people. 10, complete self-discipline. Because when Mr. Carnegie put that proposition to me, my hand was down in my pocket, and I was fiddling with the money that I had there, just about enough to get back to Washington. And if I had to stay at a hotel in Mr. Carnegie's house, I wouldn't have had that much. I didn't even know the meaning of the word philosophy. And here, the richest man in the world wanted me to go to work for him for 20 years without pay. Wasn't that a situation for you? I started to tell Mr. Carnegie, I started to do just exactly what you or most of us people would have done under the same circumstances. What do you think that was? What would you have done? You would have faced that sort of proposition, going to work for 20 years without any pay for the richest man in the world. Well, yes, that's what I was about to do. But something inside of me wouldn't let me open my mouth until I got a hunch that if Mr. Carnegie had kept me there for 3 days, it must have been for a purpose. But he must have seen something in me that I didn't know was there. Also, that a man with Mr. Carnegie's reputation for picking men certainly didn't pick me to do a job like that unless he knew I had the ability to do it. And whatever this something was, this silent, invisible person standing, looking over my shoulder, whispering in my ear, said, "Go ahead and tell him yes." I said, "Mr. Carnegie, I not only will accept the commission, sir, but you may depend upon it that I will complete it." He said, "I like the way you ended that sentence. I think you will. You got the job." The only contribution Mr. Carnegie ever made to me outside of the usually where I need to be interviewed was to pay my expenses in the early part of my relationship with him. The man he sent me to see was Henry Ford. I said, "I want you to go up to Detroit, become acquainted with Henry Ford, observe him carefully, because one of these days he's going to dominate the motor industry. And it's going to be second only to the steel industry." This was in 1908, the late fall of 1908. I went up there and spent 2 days trying to find Ford, and when I didn't find him, he came out of the rear of a shop where he was doing some experimenting, an old pair of overalls on, a plug hat or had been bashed into the ground, grease all over his hands. I remember he got my sleeve, I shook hands with him. And I sat down for a half hour with Mr. Ford, and about all of his conversation consisted of yes and no, mostly no. And I wondered how a man like Mr. Carnegie could have made a mistake like that. Imagine if Mr. Ford will never be a leader in anything. Well, I'm going to that's enough.
Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step toward riches. A long while ago, a great warrior faced a situation which made it necessary for him to make a decision which ensured his success on the battlefield. He was about to send his armies against a powerful foe, whose men outnumbered his own. He loaded his soldiers into boats, into the enemy's country, unloaded soldiers and equipment, then gave the order to burn the ships that had carried them. Addressing his men before the first battle, he said, "You see the boats going up in smoke. That means that we cannot leave these shores alive unless we win. We now have no choice. We win or we perish." They won. Every person who wins in an undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by so doing can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. Every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence which does not recognize failure, will bring riches. 6 ways to turn desires into gold. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite practical steps. That is, first, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in the subsequent chapter. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire, name the time limit for its acquisition, state what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate. 6. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before retiring at night and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. It is important that you follow the instructions described in these 6 steps. It is especially important that you observe and follow the instructions in the 6th paragraph. Make it plain that it's impossible for you to see yourself in possession of money before you actually can. Here is where a burning desire will come to your aid. If you truly desire money so keenly that your desire is out of sight, you will have no difficulty in convincing yourself that you will acquire it. The object is to want money and to become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Can you imagine yourself a millionaire? To the uninitiated, who has not been schooled in the working principles of the human mind, these instructions may appear impractical. It may be helpful to all who fail to recognize the soundness of the 6 steps to know that the information they convey was received from Andrew Carnegie, who began as an ordinary laborer in the steel mills, but managed, despite his humble beginning, to make these principles yield him a fortune of considerably more than $100 million. It may be a further help to know that the 6 steps here recommended were carefully scrutinized by the late Thomas A. Edison, who placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accumulation of money, but for the attainment of any goal. The steps call for no hard labor. They call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or credulous. To apply them calls for no great amount of education. But the successful application of these 6 steps does call for sufficient imagination to enable one to see and to understand that accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, and luck. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. You may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantity unless you can work yourself into a white heat of desire for money and actually believe you will possess it. If the thing you wish to do is right and you believe it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across and never mind what they say if you meet with temporary defeat, for they, perhaps, do not know that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Thomas Edison dreamed of a lamp that could be operated by electricity. Began where he stood to put his dream into action, and despite more than 10,000 failures, he stood by that dream until he had made it a physical reality. Practical dreamers do not quit.
Imagine a man, for instance, standing by through 10,000 different failures, as Mr. Edison did, before giving up. His personal initiative was so definite that he told me that if he hadn't found the secret of the incandescent electric lamp, that at that very moment he would be in the laboratory working on it instead of being out there wasting his time talking to me. And then in a more serious note, Mr. Edison said, I had to succeed because I finally ran out of things that wouldn't work. I've thought of that so many times, wondering why more people don't keep on keeping on until they run out of things that won't work. Well, then they're bound to find the thing that will work.
There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, and belief. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. I believe in the power of desire backed by faith, because I have seen this power lift men from lowly beginnings to places of power and wealth. I have seen it rob the grave of its victims. I have seen it serve as the medium by which men staged a comeback after having been defeated in 100 different ways. I have seen it provide my own son with a normal, happy, successful life, despite nature's having sent him into the world without ears.
When my second son Blair was born, he was born without ears. The doctors told me that he would be a deaf mute all of his life. I told them he would not be a deaf mute and that he would live to have 100% of his hearing just like other children. And one of these doctors came over and put his arm on my shoulder and he said, "Now look here, devoted. There are some things in this world that neither you nor I nor anyone else can do anything about. And now you face one of those situations." I said, "Doctor, there is nothing in this world that I can't do something about. It's nothing more than adjust myself to an unpleasant situation so it does not destroy my spirit." I went to work on that child through prayer. I worked on him continuously, almost 4 hours a day for the first 4 years of his life. And at the age of about 18 months, we recognized that he didn't know just how much. But by the time he had reached the 4th year, he had developed 65% of his normal hearing. And in his 3rd year in college, in the University of West Virginia, the Acousticum Company, manufacturer of hearing aids, heard about this unusual case, the only one of its kind in the world where a child born without ears ever learned to hear. Came down to the University of West Virginia and made him a special hearing aid that gave him the other 35% of hearing. And Blair today has 100% of his hearing, just exactly like I said he would. It's almost one of the modern miracles of physical science. And the doctors today don't know exactly how it did happen. I'm not so sure that I did, but I know what I was doing to bring it about.
Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all the major positive emotions. When the three are blended, they have the effect of coloring thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from infinite intelligence. How to develop faith? There comes now a statement which will give a better understanding of the importance the principle of autosuggestion assumes in the transmutation of desire into its physical or monetary equivalent. Namely, faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. Repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. No one is doomed to bad luck. There are millions of people who believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because of some strange force over which they believe they have no control. They are the creators of their own misfortunes because of this negative belief, which is picked up by the subconscious mind and translated into its physical equivalent. In language which any normal human being can understand, we we will describe all that is known about the principle through which faith may be developed where it does not already exist. Have faith in yourself, faith in the infinite. Before we begin, you should be reminded again that faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. The foregoing sentence is worth reading a second time, and a third, and a fourth. It is worth reading aloud. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches. Faith is the basis of all miracles and all mysteries which cannot be analyzed by the rules of science. Faith is the only known antidote for failure. Faith is the element, the chemical, which, when mixed with prayer, gives one direct communication with infinite intelligence. Faith is the element which transforms the ordinary vibration of thought created by the finite mind of man into the spiritual equivalent. Faith is the only agency through which the cosmic force of infinite intelligence can be harnessed and used by man. Thoughts which are mixed with any of the feelings of emotions constitute a magnetic force which attracts other similar or related thoughts. Now let us go back to the starting point and become informed as to how the original seed of an idea, plan, or purpose may be planted in the mind. The information is easily conveyed. Any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought. This is why you are asked to write out a statement of your major purpose or definite chief aim, committed to memory, and repeated in audible words day after day until these vibrations of sound have reached your subconscious mind. Resolve to throw off the influences of any unfortunate environment and to build your own life to order. Taking inventory of mental assets and liabilities, you may discover that your greatest weakness is lack of self-confidence. This handicap can be surmounted and timidity translated into courage through the aid of the principle of autosuggestion. The application of this principle may be made through a simple arrangement of positive thought impulses stated in writing, memorized, and repeated until they become a part of the working equipment of the subconscious faculty of your mind. Self-confidence formula. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude toward others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I will become a self-reliant and successful person. The disaster of negative
Thank
thinking.
you. Only thing I love
The
myself.
subconscious mind
Thank you.
makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It works
Trying to get
with
some
the
people,
material
trying to get some
defeated
people to sing
through
for
our
him.
thought impulses. The subconscious mind will translate into reality a thought driven by fear just as readily as it will translate into reality a thought driven by
Watching
courage
the
or
analytics.
faith. Like the wind which carries one ship east and another west, the law of autosuggestion will lift you up or pull you down, according to the way you
Streaming on
set your
TikTok.
sails of thought. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. The third step toward riches. Autosuggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions and all self-administered stimuli which reach one's mind through the five senses.
Everything.
Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self-suggestion.
Trying to
It
get
is the
3
agency of
viewers to talk at one
communication
time.
between that part of the mind
That's how
where conscious thought takes
everything
place,
has been.
that which serves as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. See and feel money in your
I'm gonna put it on fan.
You were
I'm
instructed
gonna
in
put
the
it on
last of the
fan
6 steps described in
fan
the chapter
mode.
on desire to read aloud twice
Fan
daily the
funding.
written statement of
Funding.
your desire for money,
So I
and
don't get
to see and feel
distracted.
yourself in possession of the money.
But
By
thank
following
you.
these instructions, you
Fan
communicate
funding
the
mode is
object of your
basically
desire directly to your subconscious mind in a
you know
spirit
what
of
that is.
absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create thought habits which are
So
favorable to
watching.
your efforts to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Remember, therefore, when
Keep tapping
reading
the
aloud
screen.
the statement of
Keep
your
tapping.
desire,
Keep tapping.
which you are endeavoring to develop, and the mere reading of the words is of no consequence. You mix emotion or feeling with your words. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts only upon thoughts which have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You will get no appreciable results until you learn to reach your subconscious mind with thoughts or spoken words which have been well emotionalized with belief. Do not become discouraged if you cannot control and direct your emotions the first time you try to do so. Remember, there is no such possibility as something for nothing. You cannot achieve it, even if you desire to do so. The price of ability
For
to your
viewers,
subconscious mind is
CashAPP Singing for the
everlasting
People.
persistence of applying the principles described here.
For
You
viewers,
do not develop the desired
CashAPP Singing for the
ability for a
People.
lower price. You and you alone must decide whether or not the reward for which you are striving, the money consciousness, is worth the price you must pay for it in effort. Your ability to use the principle of autosuggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. Six steps to stimulate your subconscious mind.
CashAPP Singing for the
The
People.
instructions given in connection with the 6 steps of the second chapter will now be
Venmo.
summarized and
Singing for the
blended with the
People.
principles covered by this chapter as follows. First, go into some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat aloud so you may hear your own words. A written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, time limit for its accumulation, and a description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for the money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $50,000 by the 1st of January, 5 years hence. And you intend to give personal services in return for the money in the capacity of a salesman. Your written statement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the
Thank
first
you
day
for
of
the
January
views.
1912,
Monetizing
I will have in
all
my
20 of
possession
them. All 20 of
$50,000,
them.
which will come to me in
Keep
various
them coming.
amounts
Keep them
from
coming.
time to time,
21.
direct
21.
and indirect.
Keep
In
them
return
coming.
for
Keep
this
them
money,
coming.
I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable, rendering the fullest
Coming.
possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in
CashAPP
the
Singing for the
capacity
People.
of salesman. You describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I will have this money in my possession.
22.
My faith is so strong
Keep them coming,
that I
keep
can
them
now
coming.
see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hand. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for. I am awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money. I will follow that plan when it is received. Second,
Short feed. Short feeds on there now.
until you can
Hi,
see
short
your
feed.
imagination, the money you intend to accumulate. Third, place a written copy of your statement where you can
This is
see it
more
night in the
unknown
morning
traffic.
and read it just before retirement.
7 viewers.
Upon arising.
4 viewers.
Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the principle of auto-suggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember also that your subconscious mind will act only upon instructions which are emotionalized and handed over to it.
We still at 20.
Faith is the strongest and most productive of the emotions.
We at 23.
Follow the instructions given in the chapter on faith. These instructions may at first seem
Come on,
abstract,
24.
not discouraging. Follow the instructions. No
Let's
matter
see,
how
take the views back. Take the views back.
they may at first appear to be. The time will soon come
Take the likes
if
back.
you've been instructed
Take the views
in
back.
spirit as well as in act. When a whole new universe of power will
The
unfold.
views don't go. Kid, the views do not go back.
Specialized knowledge.
Once they
Personal
view, they
experiences or
view.
observation. The fourth step.
Monetizing every single view.
There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is
I just
special.
made 23 cents.
General knowledge, no matter how
24.
great in quality or variety it may be, is of but little use in the
24.
accumulation of money. The faculties of the great universities
25.
possess in the aggregate practically every form of civilization. Most of the professors have but little money.
26.
Knowledge. They do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed with practical plans of action, the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people, falsely believing that knowledge is knowledge.
I got time
It is
now.
nothing of the sort.
I got
Knowledge is
time
only
now.
potential
You're not in
power.
America no more.
It becomes power only when and if
Tip
it is
so
organized
I could.
into
We don't
definite
fan funding.
plans of
Send a
action
super chat.
and directed to a
Send
definite
a
end.
super chat or a cash app.
In
Need
all
26.
systems of education,
27.
may be found in the failure of
Cash app,
educational
so we can see who's
institutions
watching.
to teach their students how
Venmo
to
or PayPal,
organize
so we can
and
see who's
use
watching.
knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make
28.
the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford
He's definitely
was
watching.
schooling, he was not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not understand the real meaning of the word educate. That word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one which has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others.
You must remember that Mr. Edison only had 3 months of schooling in his entire life. Although he worked that called for the application of many of the sciences, he knew nothing about any of them. Now, you may wish to ask, how in the world did you get
33.
along with only 3 months of schooling in the business of inventing, dealing with the sciences, and yet knowing nothing about any of them? I've been asked that question many times. Well, the answer is very simple. He got along by surrounding himself with men who did understand
34.
technical men, educated men. And he used their brains just as successfully as if he had had the knowledge himself. As a matter of fact, every successful man in the upper brackets of achievement makes use of other people's
34
knowledge,
people.
influence,
34
and
views.
education under the mastermind principle.
Lord knows how many
Then
people.
there would be Mr. Andrew Carnegie.
Could be
My
one
sponsor.
person who's
He came over to this country in the steerage
34
to have
times.
enough money to pay first
God
class
bless you.
fare on the boat. And he rose to a higher position in the world by surrounding himself with men who knew
Short
what he
speed.
did, who could do the things that he And
Oh,
like the name
zero
of 100
bills.
others who started
Let's go zero.
and rose to high
Let's
positions
go.
in life by associating themselves with other people
Zero,
on based on principle.
zero.
The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized
Stay at
knowledge.
zero.
But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. The preceding paragraph should give hope and encouragement to a man with ambition to accumulate a fortune who has not possessed himself of the necessary education to supply such specialized knowledge as he may require. Men sometimes go through life suffering from inferiority complexes because they are not men of education. A man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. Back of all ideas is specialized knowledge. Unfortunately, for those who do not find riches in abundance, specialized knowledge is more abundant and more easily acquired than ideas. Because of this very truth, there is a universal demand and an ever-increasing opportunity for the person capable of helping men and women to sell their personal services advantageously. Capability means imagination. One quality needed to combine specialized knowledge with ideas, a form of organized plans designed to yield riches. If you have imagination, this chapter may present you with an idea sufficient to serve as the beginning of the riches you desire. Remember, the idea is the main thing. Specialized knowledge may be found just around the corner, any corner. Imagination, the workshop of the mind, the fifth step toward riches. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man. The impulse, desire, is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. Two forms of imagination. The imaginative faculty functions in two forms. One is known as synthetic imagination, and the other as creative imagination. Synthetic imagination. Through this faculty, one may arrange old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing, merely works the material of.
It's crazy. I was literally just commenting Match King. People comment. That's crazy. It's crazy. Literally sitting here commenting Match King. I wasn't even gonna need to say anything. Because I ain't even want to put you on the spot. I was just gonna say Match King. And you type King before, and I tweaked for a second. I said, wait a minute. That's not, why am I blue? Then I looked and it didn't even go through, and I was sitting here watching the scoreboard. Check it out, check it out. Check it out. Well, no, that's the wrong button. Man, how do I turn the camera around? You're sitting here watching the scoreboard. I don't know if you can see it, but it's, uh, watching where this traffic is coming from. And I'm learning something. I've learned that they can't bot me for too long, because the short feed starts to, hold on, let me put it, I can't even see the chat on this one. Hold on. That's right. I had the chat turned off on this one. That's another. So the algorithm is working for me, even though niggas are trying to sit here and send traffic from this source. But what happens is, as time goes by, the algorithm sends traffic eventually. They try to, get the notification and buy it. You can see direct. So 28% of these views is not even, I mean, it kind of, but it's still going up, and the shit monetized. So, but all of this shit is YouTube. That's, you're in there too. You got the notification. But again, niggas is really a lot of the traffic is coming from an unknown source, which is cool. And I'm like, all right, cool. Send your traffic. I kind of figuring this shit out. Like, I don't know. I think I got it though. How to pull traffic free straight from TikTok. I tried to sleep, rest my voice some more. Wait for somebody to match you. That's literally what I'm gonna do. Got all day, got forever. Streaming on. I think I can kind of cancel it. I might cancel this one. But traffic is definitely coming from TikTok. Today. Yeah, I'm invested in this, man. Get somebody to help me with this Google ad, with the Google ads. Telling me we put a Google ad on the link. Game over. Game over. This unknown traffic gets drowned. You probably can't see it right now. Once I put a Google ad, once I put a Google ad on, whatever that is, sending that traffic and trying to drown me out of the short feed, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all monetized. They won't do it, bro. These people are in love with their money. What you mean? What you mean? They won't do what? you. You talking about the matching? I was. The views is steady going up. 45 viewers leaving you a tip. Oh, because um, there's nobody watching except you and one person using multiple Gmails. When new people come in, bro, you seen it. Yeah. I gotta put an ad, bro. I gotta put an ad on this link. And yeah, I'm not in a position to push that button right now. Oh damn. It shows 5 on my end. It shows 5, 4. It shows 5 on my end too. Bro, 4 of those accounts is one person using 4 Gmails. Shit is mad gay. Like, but it is what it is. Look, okay, short feed. Okay. Time. And when I was out there in the States, I feel like I didn't have no time. But now I got time. Look. You can't get rid of that clown. You can't yes, I can. Drown them. I'm telling you, promotions. Right now, I am promoting my YouTube on TikTok. At the same time, I mean, I can. And actually, I forgot. But this phone is like being utilized. This was playing something, but promotion. Yes, we can't get rid of them. Drown them. But as far as haters watching, haters are always the haters are always. I actually have curls, bro. I actually got natural curls, yo. Without the Jerry curl, I'm looking at my curl. I actually got length. Pause. My hair has never been this long my entire adult life. Never could grow my hair. Thank God for hair. Matt, bro. The Matt. Like, bro, that's again, when it's real traffic, they comment. When it's real traffic, bro, they comment. Nobody goes, because I don't even think I have it on subscribers only mode. It's not. Yeah, it's not even on subscribers only mode. But again, bro, really, nah, bro. Time to go ahead. Yo, yeah, bro, definitely not make me smile, bro. Like, niggas say go ball. But yo, how much? I don't think I was gonna say send, bro. I don't. This not an bro. This not an amount you can send for me to shave it. This not a this. Nah, bro. Like, if he was like, yo, Mark, shave that. His, bro, I'll send you your money right back. I'll send you your money right back, bro. You be like, yo, here's 20,000. But if you start send that shit right back, like keep it, your numbers will go up. Bro, my numbers will go up if somebody asked bet me to shave it, but he said my numbers will go up if I shave my never, bro. But this is mine. I gotta get it braided, but it's looking crazy right now, but I'm grateful to have here, bro. Thanks for making me, thanks for your spirit. Thanks for the holiday spirit. Because I'm out here with no tie lady. Tie lady. But I gotta pay rent first. I'm sitting here focused on paying to sustain. So I'm not even thinking about no dating app or looking for grants or doing my taxes or other ways of making money. I'm doing one thing at a time. And if streaming has been working, then streaming has been like my only means of connecting to new people and double, triple, quadruple stream. Somebody can't try to sit here and stop me from shining on none of these platforms. None of these platforms. But if somebody want to sit here and watch me from 5 Gmail accounts, I'm flattered. Flattered. Bro, could you imagine somebody sitting here, niggas sitting here watching you, listening to you from like 7 radios? Instead of just turn one radio up, they're like, oh, let me get you the streams. Um, I'm gonna get you the streams. Help me get streams. So it's monetized. I monetize every single view. As long as I don't play copyrights, I'm good. But if somebody tip 50 or more, then I'm seeing a copyright. So hey, I'm seeing copyrights. Hey, I gotta eat. Like forget that. Like so many of these streams, they always say, "Oh, you can't monetize. You can't monetize. You can't monetize. You can't monetize," because of copyrights. But they don't even pay that much to begin with when it is monetized. And I'm not going through copyrights because of playing people's. Um, 4 viewers. Who's who's not afraid to comment with Frank? But I'm gonna turn TikTok on and ask some people to come from over there to come over here in real time. But I can't really jam this phone up like that because I need to order some food. Jackie Chain in Jamaica having best time of his life. Yeah, Jackie Chain is mad popular on my phone. Moving slow like this. Let's check the stats though. Literally sitting here watching from multiple accounts. Whoever this is watching me from multiple accounts is going to be watching me from multiple accounts forever. Um, now look at the short feed. The short feed is starting to do something. That's what I realized. They can sit here and watch with bots, and you can sit there, but YouTube system is eventually going to put me internet connections. Internet connections. I'm still getting traffic. Still getting pushed. And eventually we will meet. We will meet more good people. Eventually. Excuse me. This shit is a time game. It's definitely a time game. Now look at the short feed. It's definitely a time game. The bots eventually get drowned out. after sitting here because the short feed kicks in. Short feed kicks in. I don't know how long it's been. Oh, it's been 40 minutes. Yep. Yes, sir. I mean, I don't even have it on subscribers only mode. But that's crazy. Like somebody sitting here watching from mad accounts, but the other viewers, like so the other viewers is I guess it's been a little bit of viewers. Whatever 18, whatever these other percentages. These percentages. I wish they would tell us exactly where the traffic was coming from. But check this out. Check this impressions. So they pushed me out to 100 people, and I got 60 out of that 100. They're gonna still push me out. Person's trying to get them to stop pushing me out by using bots. But the YouTube system is still gonna push me out. I'm gonna again, like I said, I'm gonna drown out this unknown traffic with Google Ads, and it's game over. So thank you for tapping the screen. Thank you for tapping the screen. Thank you for tapping the screen. Keep tapping. 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 I didn't even press the TikTok button yet. I press the TikTok button, straight promo. Without even paying for Google Ads. I bring them straight from TikTok to YouTube. What's that Google ad gonna cost us? $50. 50 bucks. They take a 50 deposit and then you can make the ad whatever you want to make it, but they won't even let you freaking remember that same 50, like that same 50, like they literally and just they kept I just canceled the campaign. I just deleted it just to make sure when I start one that but yeah, $50. Promo. All of this is about promo. Oh shit, let's go. Like that's what I mean, again, I got time now, but I would have to run it from one phone, watch it on one phone, and then be on live on the other phone. And then be able to, like, I'll have to do all of this from inside because if I'm on this, I can't do all of this on the street. I can't have all of my phones jacked up. But thank you, brother. Thank you. I don't know when you want me to press go, because I was kind of just focused on rent for a month first. Once I get rent for a month, then I got a month to like I can take a week off if I want to at that point. So I got $50, bro, to put towards an ad. Like I didn't push that button because I'm like, nah, bro, this is going towards rent. Like this is going towards paying for a month. That's why I'm like, yo, somebody else push the button. Somebody push the button. Whoever pushed the button and put bots on my shit. Okay, cool, no problem. But I'm educating my audience. You got 50 more now. Thank you. Thank you. I'm telling them somebody gonna push the promo button on my live streams. Game over. Just like you can push the button to put bots on live stream, somebody's going to push the button to put organic promotion on all of my social media. Let's not even just talk about all of my social media. And watch, eventually somebody's gonna push the button and the traffic on Instagram gonna go up. The traffic on, I don't even use Snap and Twitter, but let's put those in there. The traffic on Facebook gonna go up. The traffic on TikTok gonna go up. The traffic on YouTube gonna go up. It's literally just promotions. And once we already know, once the promo brings the people